You're listening to Remotely One, a podcast that educates, entertains, and inspires you to take your life back from the office commute. I'm Rick, a former beer rep who left the warehouse to become a voice actor and digital creator.
And I'm Kaleem, a remote work advocate and consultant. We're going to speak with some of the top professionals who have managed to avoid the commute as they share stories from the most inspiring to the most comical, all while working remotely.
Man, this sounds awesome. Let's clock in. We're not cutting back to Katie Couric or anything.
Whoa, can you say Katie Couric's name? Did she do something weird? I don't know who you could say anymore.
He's so afraid. That's what makes this show fun.
Katie Couric is a legend, okay?
She is a legend. I've always liked Katie,
Funny thing, my mom and her went to the same high school.
Oh, cool.
Was Katie a nerd, or was she cool, or did she do anything weird?
She doesn't know.
Weird. Dude, I don't know. All I know is she did also go to my alma mater, and she's super cool. Like, I saw her at reunions once, and I was, like, so stoked.
I'll tell you how cool she is, all right? And tell all your friends, because this is like a major story. A guy I know in our hometown has a cat named Kitty Couric because of her. So, if you ever see her, at town or reunions or whatever, just let her know, hey, there's a cat in Bangor, Maine named Kitty Couric. You should know about it.
Okay. Good to know.
Welcome back, everybody, to Remotely One. I am your co-host, Rick Haney, joined by my esteemed colleague, Kaleem Clarkson. What is happening, brother? Oh, you got the Happy Hands Club going on over there.
Oh, this is also I want to do for today's guest. Like, if no one can see me, but I'm doing the hula kind of. I'm trying. It's not very good. It's not very good.
It's semi-Polynesian.
It's semi-Polynesian. How you? Yes. Moana, such a good movie.
Make way, make way.
How you been, man?
Good. I'm going to address the audience now. Audience, since you know how to find us, do us a huge favor. Go to ratethispodcast.com/remotely one and just leave us a review. Please and thank you. Again, it's ratethispodcast.com/remotely one. If you could do that for us, we would be ever so grateful. Since 2015, Remotely One is one of the largest communities of remote work professionals, with over 3,000 Slack members and 5,000 email subscribers. It's free to join, so go check it out at remotelyone.com. And with that out of the way, Kaleem, give us a tease or two about today's guest.
Oh, yeah. Today's guest, Rick. I'm nervous again. I have a nice shirt on today. I put on my college shirt. But
I'd say we almost kind of match. We kind of match.
Well, we are in the same studio, Rick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We are in the same studio. You're looking great, too, as usual, by the way.
I feel it.
Let's see. What guest? We didn't even ask you this. Guest, where are you originally from, guest? This is a great intro.
Virginia. Richmond, Virginia, by the way.
Okay.
Not Northern Virginia.
Okay. Our guest is from, they said it, Richmond, Virginia. They are a graduate from the University of Virginia in Culture and Commerce. That's interesting. Go Cavaliers. You.
Wow.
History and global culture and commerce. Yeah.
Yes.
Global culture and commerce. And then the Cavaliers. You. I had to do it again.
Had to do it. You.
Let's see. She started off in sales and then transitioned to become the global head of customer experience at a company called Park Jockey. Real interesting. We have to talk about that, sir. Mm-hmm. Interesting fact about our guest is they became a Swiftie, Rick. They became a Swiftie, and so much that they even started watching football again because of it. And
double whammy.
Yeah, guess, can you just give the energy drink a free plug right now? Can you give the energy a free plug? She listens to she's such a Swiftie that she got sucked in to the New Heights podcast that's hosted by Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, the brothers, and now she's drinking their energy drink that sponsors it.
Yes, because Travis just plugs how delicious the Accelerator Active Energy sugar-free energy drink is. The Rocket Pop flavor, which they drank with their mom, Mama Swiftie.
Mama Swiftie.
Mama Kelce.
Oh, Mama Kelce.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Is it good?
It's delicious. It is delicious.
What's the caffeine count on that? How many milligrams of caffeine are we
I
looking
get this
at?
thing shipped in.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
This thing shipped in. That's the best.
I do. I'm living in Hawaii. I get it shipped in. Yeah.
Oh, okay, guests, don't ruin my intro, okay? Okay? So,
The nerve of some people, I swear.
hey, by the way, Accelerator, we're available for sponsors. So,
Indeed.
you just got a free plug. Let's see, what else about our guests? This is the best intro we've had in a while. After they had their time at, Park Jockey, our guests then found themselves as a user experience researcher at a little tiny company, Rick, called Facebook.
Never heard of it.
Bam! And then after that, they founded an Authentic Travel Adventures, and they are also the founder and lead facilitator at Executive Offsites that has a flagship program. You ready for this, Rick? In Hawaii, and that's where they currently reside, Hawaii.
Do you know Magnum PI?
No, but I've seen him filming.
Shit. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Listeners and viewers, please give a warm welcome to Kendall Wallace! Let's go! Let's go!
Wow!
Shit.
That
Settle down,
intro,
studio
man.
audience. Settle down. Sit down. We're
Okay,
not
people,
all
down in
going to
front.
Hawaii.
You're going to
We
get
can't
sent home
take you
early if
all
you
to
don't sit
Hawaii.
down, people.
We can't take you all to Hawaii.
Come on, this is a professional endeavor here, people.
We want to go to Hawaii too. Settle down. Settle down. Thank you. Woo!
Goodness.
Thank
Love
you,
it.
Kendall.
See, we have an in-studio audience on command. Nobody else can offer that. Nobody else. It's good to have you here, Kendall. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here. That was one of the best intros I've ever received. Well,
We dive deep here at Remotely One. No question. Yes.
love it. It's the enthusiasm, truly,
It is.
that matters.
I mean, we're psyched. We're psyched.
You've accomplished a lot, and we want to highlight a lot of those accolades. So we're here for you.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Let's dive into it. My first question is kind of a doozy. That's Kaleem's favorite
man.
word, doozy.
Okay.
I'm trying not
So-
to giggle.
Two words that are mentioned several times over and over on your LinkedIn profile are team and connection. And so my question to you is, in today's remote world, why are these terms so important, and how are they related?
Oof. Good one, Rick.
Thank
Good
you.
start.
He's a professional.
Why is it so important? Well, first of all, with team, I mean, in order to get stuff done as individuals that are distributed, because I just attended the Running Remote conference, by the way, and yeah, in Lisbon, and we talked about using the term distributed, even although distributedly one might be a little, it's not quite, doesn't really ring off quite as well, but yeah, that in distributed teams, it's so important to operate as a unit in order to succeed and provide deliverables. And I think what's so important, and even research shows that like connection, especially in a distributed team, is absolutely necessary to create team trust, which then, creates people actually being able to get the work they need done. So, like, they're so interrelated in just every way. And, I see this in the offsites I facilitate. I saw it in the different companies I worked for, where the absence of connection really led to more isolation, lack of team, and thus, like, us not hitting our results in some cases.
Well, you do a lot of in-person events, and you've had a lot of experience with that. Do you notice a trend, like every time, is there a noticeable difference between how people are when they arrive and how they are when they leave?
Oh my God, yeah. Totally. It's nuts. It's night
Yeah.
and day. Really is. Over the course of, so a lot of my events are a couple days, although I'll do whatever bespoke,
Yeah.
opportunity that teams need, whether it's an afternoon, a day, or 3 days. But the ones that I really enjoy are a couple days, at least 2 nights. And, you come from the skepticism of, and a lot of times these teams haven't met in person. right? Like yet.
Right.
So this is
Right.
like their first opportunity to really get together and make those connections. And like, yes, you can absolutely design and do that just by bringing people together. It's better than nothing. But then when you integrate to skilled facilitation and the integration of like different activities that mimic the way people work, and you can have these rich debriefs afterwards, and on top of like the connection exercises for people to get to know each other a little bit deeper than like, yeah, I have 3 kids and Timmy plays baseball, but like actually getting deeper at some of the values of why people like are actually working on the team, like what inspires them to do the work they're doing. Like when you actually access that, which takes a little bit of time, the
Authentic relating. Sarah Ness.
yeah, absolutely. And then the
Yeah.
results are like, I'll never forget me walking up a hill after this, like, in this beautiful, like, grassy field where we had our, like, closing remarks last summer with this chief marketing officer for this company. And him just saying, wow, this is single-handedly the best value per head of, like, any offsite I've ever experienced. And, like, that, he was saying how just getting one person motivated from that org of 40 was like worth millions to him. And then when you get the level of connection from people just having a good time together too, like that,
Yeah.
like money can't buy that,
Right.
It's fascinating too because people can tell the difference between BS fun versus like actual authentic fun.
100%. I actually have a question in regards to when you're talking about connection and you're building retreats. What is kind of the ratio? I've heard Chase Warrington talk a lot about this with Duos as far as how they plan their retreats and what their intent is. So with your executive offsites, obviously, people come in with their own perceptions of what they want to happen. But for remote companies and hybrid companies or distributed companies that are not working together on site all the time, what is kind of your suggested advice to companies as far as how much time they want to allocate to get work done, and then how much time they should allocate for fun, and then maybe how much time they should also allocate for no schedule at all, nothing planned at all, free time? What are your thoughts on the makeup?
It's interesting. I saw Chase and we had a discussion around this at the Running Remote conference, and like Chase gave this whole presentation about the structure he uses, and to be perfectly honest, he has a little bit more free time than me built in to his retreats that he organizes. Like, I forget the exact breakdown, but it was something like 50% free time or something. It was pretty substantial. I forget
it was pretty
the exact
high.
one.
Typical rich guy.
Well,
He's not really
here's
rich.
what's fun.
It's a long-standing joke.
He was on the show. We love Chase. He was
sorry.
on the show, and his name sounds so freaking rich. Hello, I'm Chase Warrington.
Yeah.
He's like one of his coaches in high school used to
Here's
give him
my
so
horse.
much shit.
Yeah.
Here is my horse. Yeah, he does put in a lot of free time and a lot more than most people, which is it's an interesting concept.
It's interesting, and so the thing that I've noticed, if left to their own devices, and I saw this, I experienced this, right? If left to their own devices with the downtime and the free time and the dinners, people tend to gravitate towards like the people they know on the team, their little cliques, and it never moved the needle on the communication challenges that actually needed to take place, like at this in-person time. And what was so funny at the conference is there's this professor from Harvard, I forget his name, but he gave a presentation that validated this exact concept with data, showing that when you kind of bring these in-person get-togethers, people tend to gravitate towards their ethnic groups. That was like some of his findings, and like the people that are most like them.
Yeah. Yeah, like, why do all the black kids sit at the table? Yeah. It's a book. Sorry. The Context. That's a famous book. It's a famous book that talks about that research. Like, why do all the black kids sit at the table? It's like, it's a famous book. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And like, I think back to when I was at Facebook, being on the travel ads team, and that it's interesting because overall diversity, like Facebook was a very diverse company to work for, but it was interesting too how certain teams were more ethnically like stacked in some ways. For example, there was this team of 50 and it was probably 40 people that were Chinese. Like it was just very interesting.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so that was an experience for me too, to be at the lunch table for that particular team and people were speaking Chinese. Anyway, I had a follow-up conversation with this professor and I was just like, do you feel that facilitation, and especially like when it's intentional, right? So we're like creating these intentional in-person opportunities to break down barriers, to create cross-functional collaboration. So you can't kind of be like, in my view, right? And this is where I differ from others, is like, in my view, you can't kind of like leave that to chance. Like, we just hope that those conversations are going to happen. Like that, in my experience, hasn't really worked. Versus, of course, you need downtime for sure, but I try to facilitate the type of conversation that I know is going to like fix some of those communication challenges and get people to interact with people they wouldn't normally.
So does your thing vary? Like basically you don't have a prescriptive percentage of how much time that are scheduled, how much time is for fun. So it just kind of varies based on...
Yeah, to be honest with you, I would say maybe like 20% is more the free time. So that's where that's a big gap between probably, I forget if Chase is 50 or not, but yeah, and 20. And so there's definitely some downtime, but...
how much work though?
Yeah.
Like how much work and how much fun?
It's really based on three different areas. One is focusing on the team dynamics. One is having fun. Let's have fun, but let's not let it be a checkbox of like, cool, we did an escape room. Let's have fun, and maybe we'll design an activity that mimics the way people operate, and then we have a rich debrief afterwards. The second is like something unique that's actually brings kind of awe, because the level of awe can actually does something in the brain where it just creates a memorable event. And then the third aspect is creating that team alignment. So I really try to create a balance between those three, but like all of my events will always have those three components. And then depending on what the team needs to get out of the event, like to get that ROI from the C-suite for the investment and the time, then there can be a substantial focus on some of the in-person, the alignment. So that third aspect. So I just try to create at least on a 3-day event, though, at least a day and a half of the first two. And one of the structures too that helps is to have like head heart exercises, head heart break. So you don't want to have people too intellectually stimulated and then they drone on and it's whoa.
For real.
A shift. You know what I mean? So it's all learning from mentors and learning from books and also experience to create that stimulation breaking it up.
I love it.
Head heart. That's great. I like that. Head heart.
So earlier, I'm assuming it was earlier in your career, you were exposed to customer experience rather in the travel cruise industry. Is that correct?
It was actually Park Jockey. So Park Jockey was a company I worked for.
Okay.
Which was an app for paying for your parking online as a tech startup.
Walk me through the transition from customer experience to user experience at Facebook.
Yeah, totally. Great question. Thank you. So basically, I was at this bootstrapped, tech startup, Park Jockey, and it was tricky. It was hard times. I saw people come in, and I saw those bigger, more well-paid people kind of those budgets get cut and they leave, and that was tricky. But in my role as head of customer experience, I also saw inquiries. I was in charge of customer support and then working with our CTO to basically alleviate some of the patterns that I saw come tickets. Because the support tickets, obviously, there's a lot of the same tickets that come in. And once I saw that like the same questions were happening and we could actually do things from a UX perspective, if I knew how to do that, like with colors, with designing the site, designing the app accordingly, we could really minimize the number of inquiries we got and really create a lot of cost savings for the company. So I saw that UX was really the way to go for me at that time. And so that's where I really made the decision, okay, I need to get the best training out there for how to do UX. And so that's where I entered this training program at Facebook at the time. And it was a great experience to get that training.
what do you think was actually the biggest difference between like just customer experience and then user experience? I know like a lot of times user experience people are graphically inclined, former designers. I know a lot of people get into UX experience that are designers. So do you have a design background, or were you coming from more of, I did a lot of customer experience. User experience is, customers are users a lot of times, so there is a lot of similarities. But what were the big similarities, but then what were the big differences?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I decided that UX was my path, I did not come from a graphic design background. That's where a lot of UX designers come in. And once I noticed that at bigger companies, there's a split between UX research and UX design. Smaller companies, it's kind of the UX designers are all encompassing, and they're supposed to do their own research, which they may or may not have capacity to do. But in these larger companies, the roles are split. And so I saw my skills as a people person, as an interviewer, as getting people to, feel safe enough with me to really reveal how they actually felt about the app, even if it was like a level of hatred that, that they felt. That was more where my skills laid. So that's where I looked for opportunities to do UX research. And I think the differences there are, it's really very different. So in customer experience, it was all around, managing customer support, really liaising with the tech team to prevent inquiries, to really have that customer experience be a positive one, all the way from working with operators to like the actual experience on the web, but to the delivery of the product. And versus UX research was really about creating studies and having these methods at my fingertip of doing surveys and in-depth interviews and focus groups and all these different methodologies to basically get at the root cause of why we weren't seeing certain engagement on a certain thing. Yeah. I love all this inquiry on this stuff. I haven't talked about this stuff in like forever.
I'm a fake designer.
Oh, really?
So I was just curious. I was like, how did you just teach yourself how to be a designer? And you're like, no, they actually split it. So user research, it's a lot different. Yeah. Thank you.
But I hustled. Absolutely. That's the thing, Kaleem. I've been a hustler. There was this program to learn. Once I figured out that I wanted to make that transition at that time between customer experience and UX research, or UX, and I didn't even know what the difference in the split between research and design, I reached out to this program head of this program to learn UX research and design, and I said, hey, can I take your course for free if I fill it? And so I just, I bartered my way into it, and
Good
then,
for you.
And it's just so funny because too, like even getting the job at Facebook, it was a hustle, it's always kind of really just like working the game to make things happen.
Congratulations.
And now I use those UX research skills, which is really cool, in like designing what the offsites are going to be for the team experiences, or even if it's not just offsites, like I'm getting into coaching specifically, and it's utilizing those skills from UX research to do the surveys, like make sure we're monitoring metrics to see
pre and a post,
the pre and the post to see the impact, as well as like the in-depth interviews. And again, it's relying on that skill set of making people feel safe, to be honest. And I think that's something too that like managers can do more effectively. I've seen is really being able to come with almost like an embodiment to those that they manage that allows for open communication.
So I did have an additional question about your Facebook experience, and I'm wondering, was there a moment where you were just like, I'm going to leave this place and begin travel adventures? This is what I want to do instead of working at Facebook, Was there something like that occurred, or was it just something organic that continued to build?
Yeah, there's absolutely something that happened.
It's a big leap of faith, though,
Yeah, well, it was more like a big leap of faith being forced out the door. I was fired for not being a good teammate.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to touch that nerve.
Whoa.
Yikes.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's all good.
Okay, good.
Okay, this is part of the story.
This is part of the story. This is what set me on this path.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And, when something like that happens, you get fired for not being a good teammate, take a hard look at yourself. And there's definitely stuff to be responsible for in my, well, this you guys might get a kick out of, but in my behavior of, I'll just be perfectly candid with you. There was another, very like high-powered woman on the team I was on, and it seemed like no matter what, she wouldn't listen to me. Like, only my research had to support exactly what she wanted with her direction. And it's like every time I was like, sorry, my research is not showing that your direction's working. That did not go over well. And it really triggered me and really bothered me. And then I looked at it, and though I was asked the question, where in your life did someone make you not feel heard or seen? And just it was her way or the highway. And I was like,
wow.
Oh my God, is this all to do with my mother? And it's the truth. It's true.
No
it's
shit.
Totally the truth. I was bringing unhealed mom shit into the workplace, and like think about how often, like the funny thing about that though is that set me on this path to then do the continuing studies program at the Bowen Center for Family, understanding how the way in which we're brought up in the families of origin and in the families we create actually impacts how we operate in the workplace.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's set me on this path to understand, like, from a psychological point of view, like, why we operate the way we do. And then at the same time, it showed me that even though at a company like that, where there were so many investments in millions of dollars being spent in like bringing the team together, that in my case, sure, it was getting fired, but in others, there was a lot of team switching and things of that nature. And it's like, why are we not making investments on moving the needle on Joe and Bob working better together 2 weeks from now? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me to have a communication class and then not have the people that you work directly with in the class. They're just missed opportunities there to create that psychological safety that's so important. So that's why I'm on this mission to really create that, and it's come up from a personal place, because
You can tell. You can tell.
Oh, well, thanks.
Well, no, I mean, just you telling the story, it hits really close to home with me because I was in a very similar situation, and now the path is completely different, and I had to do my own reflection. And to hear the words that you said, I was fired for not being a good teammate, I mean, that hurts any human being. And the fact that you had the wherewithal to say, hey, wait, yes, there was some shit that was happening that I didn't agree with, but this shit's on me. And now you're building retreats in Hawaii and all over the world to bring companies together. I'm getting emotional. I'm getting emotional. So thank you for sharing that.
Do you need a tissue?
No, I got some here. But it's these are the stories, man, that's why we started this podcast, man. And
That's what it is.
That's what this is about. And if you can't hear some of these stories and get emotional and see what they're doing, and we were talking about you're working with some great companies, to be able to just say, hey, look, I need to do this. Kudos to you. I just want to say thank you for sharing it. It was
Thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, it's like, the truth is that if you don't create functional teams, like, your actual livelihood can be impacted. And it's like, that's what's at stake. And also your happiness, your enjoyment of life. Like, we're not trying to be like slaves to our jobs here with no purpose in life. Like, some might be fine with that, but I'm not really. And
most people are not.
Yeah.
They just accept it.
Yeah, and I think we spend so much time with people we work with that it's like, why would we not try and have the best relationships possible when we know that meaningful professional relationships are what create people to enjoy where they work? Like, it seems counterintuitive here.
So many great nuggets in this whole interview, so it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, so segueing back into my previous question about retreats, which we've talked about at length already, but most remote companies are investing in these retreats nowadays. So where do you think remote work is heading, and why?
Yeah, thank you. Well, at the Running Remote conference, it was certainly put on over and over by all the keynotes that it ain't going away and that it is here to stay.
Nice.
And
It's a good rap line.
yeah, Annie Dean at Atlassian actually has a really good report that talked about the future of work not going away, and I truly believe that. The interesting part about it, as I live here in Hawaii,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm able to, run on the beach in the morning and go surfing in the afternoon, like, I'm going to create a life where I can still do that here. And I think we've all gotten a taste of it, at least. And I think one of the things that's kind of known too is this legacy kind of attachment to the office is also the people who are more likely to be attached to the office. Number one, I've been there a long time, like that's their careers. There's a loss of identity there that is like, oh, if I have to give this up, like who am, that's attached to their identity, their work identity. So I think with that generation retiring, I think that attachment will, for lack of a better word, die off. But these investments in in-person time, like being very necessary, especially for new graduates who need that socialization of how to work in the workplace, like that stuff doesn't necessarily need to take place in an office. It can take place, at really meaningful in-person experiences every 3 months. I don't see it going away, to answer your question, Rick.
You hear that, folks? It ain't going away.
You heard it here, see?
Stop tripping. Stop tripping.
What do you know, doll?
Keep
If you
going.
believe otherwise, you're going to go up to the big house, see?
Read about. Read all about it. Read all about it.
Extra, extra. Remote work is here to stay, see?
As you wear a paperboy cap.
I do. That's why I wear it.
He's literally delivering papers.
Read all about it.
That is so great.
Come
That
on,
is
doll.
amazing.
Come on, doll. Come on, doll.
We're going to take you up to see the big cheese. I was born in a different time. I don't belong here.
I love it. Yes, you do, Rick. We need people that respect history and can recite these lines, and because people just don't understand,
Yeah, I know.
It's so good.
man.
I think that's like 30s, right? That's like 30s.
Yeah, 20s,
feel
30s,
like, yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
around there. Yeah.
Like Dick Tracy type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kendall, can you share with us a comical or inspiring moment you had while working remotely?
Yes. I can give you, yes, I absolutely can.
Okay. Now, be sure to set it up. Give us details. Let
Yeah.
us know. I'm
I kind of
geeked
have
up.
4. They're
Okay.
they're not very long.
Okay, we're here for them.
Okay.
Start with the worst one first and move up. Let's migrate towards it. Let's.
Okay. So here's the truth. Is that at the end of 2020, I spent a month working in Hawaii, and then I went pretty much immediately to Costa Rica and spent a month working remotely there. Nice. And they were, because I was trying to surf both places, and they were like night and day experiences. So I had this meeting, and at one point in time, the biggest challenge about Costa Rica was the Wi-Fi. So at one of my meetings, I literally ended up in the reception area of a hotel, on the floor. The receptionist there, to my left, and I just remember sitting on this cold tile floor, trying to be in this meeting, and just being like, this is absurd. I need better Wi-Fi. Also, then I gave a presentation, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the best Wi-Fi in town. All right, I found my fiber optic, and I went there for the presentation, and, okay, made every arrangement for it to work. However, didn't think about the fact that the wind could take out all of the electricity in the town. So then I'm delayed getting on for this presentation in front of 200 people. It was my moment. Ouch. And I'm
wow.
it was a tricky one. Those were not great experiences with having Wi-Fi and working remotely. However, Then I'll contrast those experiences with 2 moments where I'm on Zoom calls in Hawaii. The first is I'm really trying to comport myself. It's my first time experiencing these big waves, and I'm like looking at my screen, and in the background are these massive waves because we had this huge swell. And it's just like a 20-foot wave, and I'm like trying to keep my composure, and in the background there's like this just full-on show from Mother Nature. Just
Tsunami.
like,
Wow.
yeah. And it was a similar thing during whale season, where I'm like, again, on a Zoom call trying to keep my composure, and then there's this humpback whale just like using the entire background to keep just breaching and breaching. And I mean, that was just
that must have
absolutely
been-
spectacular. And it was
I
just
can't
like,
imagine.
because it was like a moment between me and the whale and the universe, and like nobody knew about it, you know?
Yeah.
So you kept your cool and you were able to keep everything going and no one knew, but like as you're sitting there on your computer, like did you get nervous and shit? Like you picked up your computer and started walking back when the waves were coming in? Like, oh snap, that wave is way too close. That wave is way too close.
No, I was looking out the window. I was at a table.
Okay.
So
I thought you was there. Like, oh shit, you started running.
No, just had to
Feeling
hide
nervous.
my smile, you know. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
That is amazing. So, where can our listeners and viewers find you?
Yeah, so you guys can reach me at Kendall with 2 L's, by the way, Kendall, at executiveoffsites.com. Or you can reach out to me at Corporate Offsites is the Instagram, or www.executiveoffsites.com. And I do a free 30-minute consult for anybody who wants some strategic advice on creating their offsite or their in-person get-together, or quite frankly, even if they're not ready for that, just how they can build trust among their team. And I will say, there's actually 2 things that I'm kind of piloting at the moment because I feel so confident that I can add value here. So the first is I am doing a study this summer where because data is so important, between a control group of offsites, like planned, kind of a normal way, versus, kind of having my take and my method on the offsites. And I'm really looking for teams that are struggling with their team connection or trust to basically crown one team at the end of the summer the most improved team. And I'm willing to offer them an offsite for free for this study.
A free offsite.
Where it's pay me what you think it's worth when I really vastly improve.
Okay, well, we'll be there. We'll be there in Hawaii, and
We accept your invitation.
we accept your
Thank you.
challenge. We accept your
Accept my
invitation.
challenge.
Rick,
Yeah.
we will be there. We're gonna record live from Hawaii. ExecutiveOffsites.com. Remotely one. We'll be there. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, well, we do offsites obviously too in Hawaii or elsewhere.
No, we're only interested in Hawaii. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hawaii is
Okay,
the only one
all right.
that we care about.
Okay. Well, the other thing I just want to plug real quick is just that the other kind of opportunity is give me 2 people who don't get along on a team one day together, and guarantee that by the end of the day they will be working well together.
Well, you heard it here. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Kendall, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate
Wow.
it. Can't wait to, hang 10 on some of those waves, dude.
Yeah.
Brody.
Yeah, bruh.
Yeah, bro. I can't wait. I've
You're
seen
whiter
Point
than
Break.
I am.
I've seen Point Break, bruh.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Kendall, you are a sport. Thanks for tolerating us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It's
Yeah.
been a treat.
We'll talk to you later. Peace.
You've been listening to Remotely One. Visit us at remotely1.com/podcast for upcoming episodes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and download our episodes on your favorite podcast app.
Hey, don't forget to clock out.